Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for a Make It Monday Facebook Live. We're going to dive into the Holiday 2018 catalog, and of course you expected that. And I do have to say, we've had some really busy times around here. My lovely second-born daughter got married, the end of all of that going on in my life. And then the following week, it was recovery week and put things away week. And then the week after that was Labor Day week. So we took a long extended vacation on both ends of that week. And so I feel like this is kind of my first work week since about the third week of August. So I'm hoping now that I can get on a roll and get doing things kind of more my normal way that you're used to seeing from me. But, you never know, things come up. So again, I'll try to get back to posting my Make It Mondays on Monday and my Fab Fridays on Friday. And I know some of you are a little disappointed when I didn't do anything last week, but as I mentioned, I was out of town both Monday and Friday, so that didn't work very well for me for Make It Monday or Fab Friday. And then, of course, there's all the product shares. Oh my goodness, you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for ordering your product shares from me. I've had quite a few Get Everything bundles, and so I have boxes and boxes of product shares that I am working my way through. I hope to get all of them in the mail for you, or if you're local, ready for pickup by this Friday, or at least in the mail postmarked this Friday. I'm about halfway through getting them done. I know I had a couple of you contact me saying that you needed yours early for one reason or another. For the two people that are a little worried about that, I will work really hard to get yours in the mail on Wednesday, because I know that's an issue for you. So I'll try really hard to do that for you. But for the rest of you, I hope you don't mind being just a little bit more patient, because I would really like to do it, get them all ready at one time as kind of batch work, and then put them all in the mail at one time, batch work. So I truly appreciate that. If you'd like to know more information about product shares, I only offer them for 1 month following a catalog debut. And so the last day that you can possibly order them from me for the holiday will be September 30th. And so, again, just check my blog, www.stampingtoshare.com, and you can find all the information there. And as long as you're there, if you haven't actually signed up for my weekly review newsletter, you might want to do that too, because not always do we get to people's blogs as much as we would like to, but when you get the newsletter in your email box, you can click on that and see what I've been up to, and then just always click on the picture that takes you to the blog post if you're interested in something that I've done. That's kind of why I call it a review, because I do review the blog posts that I do. Well, I suppose we should get going. Oh my goodness, I see so many of you have joined me, so I'm sure you'd like to see a picture of the card. Here it is, the card that we're going to be making. See if I can bring it up nice and close to the camera. And of course, everything's a little bit delayed with Facebook Live, so I'm just trying to make sure. Oh, am I even getting it in the photo? It's beautiful. Trust me, you're going to love it. So let me go ahead and get started with that. So I'm going to flip the camera down, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this card and how you can make it. And happy days, I'm going to be using my Stamparatus, because when it comes to Christmas cards, we always like to make in multiples. And so this will be fun to show you how to do multiples of this card. All right, so let's go ahead and make this card. This is what it looks like. Let me show you the stamp set that we're using. Here it is, and this, I think, was an easy stamp set to overlook in the catalog. However, I was on the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip to Alaska, and I got to see some of these things up close and personal, along with some of the samples that Stampin' Up! Had created, and I fell in love with it because this ribbon looks like a sheer ribbon that you would just tie up and put onto a wreath, and it is so gorgeous. I cannot wait for you to check it out. And so it is so cool. So let me go ahead and we'll get started creating this card. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to need some Granny Apple green paper and some basic black paper. So let me show you the sizes for that. The Granny Apple Green is 4 by 5 1/4, and our basic black paper that we're using is 2.5 by 5 1/4. And so the first thing that you'll need to do is glue this together, because you want these together before you run it through the Big Shot machine. So let me go ahead and add some multi-purpose liquid glue to the back here. And then you're just going to try and center this as best you can. I mean, it's not super important that it's exact, but it should be pretty close. So it'll look something like this. Then you're going to take it to the Big Shot machine, and you are going to run it through with the following platforms. First, you'll have your Big Shot platform, and you can see that you're going to take away the thin die adapter and be ready for the embossing folders. Then you're going to have one cut plate, and then you're going to put your prepared panel in here with the black side to the top that says the Stampin' Up! Logo right here. And then you're going to take your second cut plate over the top and run it through the Big Shot machine. And what's going to happen when you open this up, you're going to have these gorgeous embossed vines all over your card. So this particular folder is called the Climbing Vine folder, and it's one of our new folders in our catalog. So I see a lot of you really like this stamp set, so I am excited to be sharing cards with you. And because these are so quick and easy to make, we're actually going to make 3 of them today, because as I mentioned, we're using the Stamparatus, so we can just whip through these cards. That's why this is so much fun to do multiples of. So I have 3 of these prepared panels right here. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in the Stamparatus, which I already went ahead and I prepared where I wanted my stamps. Of course, you would do this in advance with some scrap paper. So what I have here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create this top panel right here that's stamped with Season's Greetings. And then we have our beautiful sheer bow. In fact, let me bring that up close to the camera. You can see how it looks kind of sheer. Isn't that awesome? And then let me go ahead and get that panel and tell you the sizing of it. So we have 3 pieces of Whisper White here, and they're all cut at 2 7/8 by 3 1/8. Okay, that's the sizing that you're going to need. And then I have this all prepped and ready to go. And let me show you how I've set up my Stamparatus. Now, in the past, I have encouraged you not to toss your instructions, because every Stamparatus is a little bit different. And what I've done in the past is I needed just that little bit more of a lift. So I've gone ahead, I've kept my instructions, and I've put them down here along with 2 thick sheets of either Very Vanilla or Whisper White. And that's always been the perfect layering for me. So let me show you why I think that's perfect. And of course, these Stamparatus magnets are super strong, so they actually work through all these layers, holding everything just perfectly. So let me do one set of stamping with those layers so you can see how that works. Now, one thing that helps with your Stamparatus is it's a good idea to have this level while you're inking things up, because if this is at an angle, what happens while you're inking things up is that it's very easy for the rest of the plate to get pretty inky as well. So I don't like to have a lot of extra things on my table while I'm stamping, because I'm sure, like you, you're probably stamping in a kind of a small area, because I don't know how it happens, but whenever I start stamping, things sort of start growing on me, and then I'm left with just this like small little area to stamp in. And so what I always have on my table now is my chamois, and I keep my chamois, of course, in this clear mount box from Stampin' Up. And so you can purchase these clear mount box separately, but these chamois are awesome. And since this is something I already have on my stamp table, it just kind of makes sense to use it with my Stamparatus. So I'm going to set this here because that makes everything level for when I am inking up. So I'm going to take my Granny Apple Green, and we're just going to ink this up. And then we can bring this over Let me make sure this magnet's out of the way. And look at that, it's perfectly stamped. Then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to move my little, my leveler here, my chamois, out of the way a little bit so it doesn't touch the stamp that I have the ink on. And then I'm going to take Lovely Lipstick, because that's the other color that we're going to use, and I'm going to ink up the sentiment, and then we can bring that down and do a little press, and you can see how good that looks. And then we've got, and now normally I would be stamping all of these at once and keep switching my papers, but I just wanted to show you something. I am working with purpose here, so just hang on, and I will do that when I do the other ones. But now I want to add my bow to this. So now I'm taking my Lovely Lipstick, and I'm inking up this ribbon, and I'm going to bring it down like this. And wow, look at that. We have this fantastic panel, and it's perfect, and it's awesome. And this is something that you can do too with your brand new Stamparatus. And I know I've had several customers purchase them in anticipation of making Christmas cards. Now, let me share with you something else that I recently purchased, and this is from Stampin' Storage, and this is just kind of a mat that's magnetic. It's like our magnet sheets that I use to store my framelits and thinlits on, except it's perfectly sized to fit into our Stamparatus from Stampin' Up. And so I have this now in my Stamparatus, and I'm going to show you using this just how awesome it works. And so again, let me take this out of here, and we are going to continue stamping, but this time I'm just going to stamp, stamp, stamp. I'm going to do a few of them, or a couple, because we're going to make 3 today. So what I'm doing now is I'm putting my wreath back in. Get some of these things out of the way here. All right, so now I'm going to do multiples. So to do multiples, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to put 2 sheets up here in the corner just to make it a little faster. And you can do that if you're only doubling up twice. It's no big deal. But I mean, you wouldn't want to double up 5 or 6 times. Then we're going to take the Granny Apple Green. We're going to ink. We're going to make sure this magnet's out of the way. We're going to flip it down. And then we're just going to move the magnet a hair. We're going to pull one of those out, and then we're going to add the magnet back in, stamp it, and we've got our second wreath. Now we'll do the same thing. We're just going to add in our greeting. So again, we're going to put this back, add our magnet here, and then we're going to be inking in Lovely Lipstick. So here's our sentiment, and then of course we're going to take this one away and stamp our sentiment on the next one, and there we go. So you can see how nicely that worked, and I would say that with this mat it's exactly the right height and it's magnetic, so your magnets stick to it, so it's kind of nice. So now let's go ahead and do the wonderful bow. That's like totally my favorite thing about the stamp set. I love that sheer look. So we're going to put these back up here in the corner, and we're going to add our magnet piece here. Then I'm going to take my chamois, put it on this side, and we're going to go ahead and ink up that ribbon. So we're going to bring it down. Here's once. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is unbelievably fun. I hope you can see how much fun I'm having. And one more time. And there we go. So we have all 3 of our front images stamped. Now what we're going to do is our inside panel. So let me grab one of those original cards here. I'm going to show you what the inside looks like. So there's the inside. And honestly, one of the main reasons I purchased this stamp set, let me bring this in so I can show you some of these sentiments. One of the main reasons I purchased this stamp set is occasionally you have a customer who's maybe going through a very serious time where it's very difficult to celebrate Christmas with all of the things going on in their life. Maybe somebody's terminally ill, maybe they're fighting cancer. You know how it is. It's not that every single Christmas is perfect. Some of those Christmases require extra love and prayers on all of our parts. And so what I loved about this Wishing You Well stamp set is you could do Merry Christmas, but then instead of the traditional, real, kind of holiday cheer type sentiment on the inside, I really like this one, sending you our thoughts and prayers. So you can have Merry Christmas here, and then on the inside, sending you our thoughts and prayers. And I thought it was a fantastic idea on Stampin' Up's part to put those two things together in one stamp set. So let's go ahead now and work on the inside panels. So we are going to use 3 pieces of Whisper White. They're 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And we need a little piece of scrap paper here. Right. So let's go ahead and do this. So again, I have my chamois over here on this side so it makes my surface level. I'm going to take my Granny Apple Green ink. We're going to bring it over, and we have our inside panel stamped on one. Then we're going to take our just 2 panels here and just make this a little quicker. So one more time, bringing it down, and then we're going to get rid of the top one here. And then we've got our next one underneath, bring it down, stamp again, and all of our inside panels here are almost done. So let me move this out of the way. And then we're going to take our beautiful ribbon, grab this again so we have, because this will bleed off a little bit. So now we have our lovely lipstick over here, and we're going to ink this up, and then we're just going to freehand stamp this like so. And do the same thing with this one, and one more time. There it is. So I'm not going to set any sentiments in the inside. I'm just going to do this little image here on the bottom left. And as it gets closer to Christmas and I decide who I want to send these cards to, I'll either do a more traditional sentiment on the inside, or I will send these cards, set them aside special, and send them to people who need extra prayers at Christmas. So let's go ahead and finish putting these cards all together. So the next thing that you're going to need, since we're doing 3 of them, is a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 piece of lovely lipstick that I've scored at 4 1/4. And I just fold that in half, and then we're going to take some snail. We can go ahead and do our inside panels. So let me get these ready. So we can just go ahead, open these up, and we've got 1. This is exciting and fun, and I hope you enjoy watching me stamp in multiples. I don't do it every time. A lot of times I just do 1 card, but I thought for Christmas it might be kind of fun to see something a little bit different, just to show you, especially with the Stamparatus, how quick, fun, and easy that is. Now we have our other panels here that we prepared in advance, and so I'm just going to take some multi-purpose liquid glue and put these down because they are going to be very easy to do. We've already prepped those in advance. So we'll set this in here, and then you can kind of wiggle it into place so it's, you know, even top and bottom, right and left. And now we're ready to go ahead and do the rest of our card front here. So we've got the Season's Greetings that you've all seen. Now I don't want to use glue on these Whisper White panels. I'm going to be using snail because I don't want glue lines showing through on Whisper White or Very Vanilla. Then we're going to need 3 panels of lovely lipstick, and this is 1/4 inch larger than this white panel, and so we have to be pretty careful when we set it down because we won't have the wiggle room that we get with glue. So we're just going to do our very best, whoops, to get this in here. So I'm going to stand up and look over the top. A lot of times if you stand up, you can get a little bit better angle. All right, perfect. Now we're going to flip these over and add some dimensionals. So as you can see, we have 5 dimensionals on every one of these, and we're just going to set these, I don't know, you know, how do we want to set these? Better check. So we're measuring to make sure our right and left are even, and then I went down just a tad more on the top here. All right, so here we are with our cards. Now we're going to take our pick a tool. I think that's what it's called. You know, honestly, with all of these new products from Stampin' Up, I have a hard time remembering what is called what. Let me go ahead now and pull these sequins away. We're going to set these on our card. So we are going to put one right up here, and then one down here, and one here. And we'll do the same placement on every one. I had a girlfriend one time tell me that the way she put sequins or little embellishments on things, you know, of course everybody wants to use, whoops, I put that down where I didn't want it. So this is where this little tool is handy because it's a little spatula. So now we're going to set this where I do want it. And then I'm going to go back to using this end. Anyway, what I was saying is what she did is she said she squinted her eyes and looked at her card, and then when she squinted her eyes, she could kind of tell where she needed the embellishments. So sometimes I do that too. I actually squint my eyes and I try to look at the card kind of more squinty, and then it helps me know where to put my embellishments. I don't know, it's probably just something all in my head, but it's just one of those little things that I do. All right, so we have these 3 cards here completed. So this is what they look like. Truly appreciate all of you joining me today. So thank you so much for being a part of my Facebook Live broadcast here. I hope you have a great day. If you'd like to place a product order, be sure to visit my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com, and have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.